group. Would you please welcome the writer and guitarist and lead singer, Mr. Ric Ocasek, and the keyboard player, Mr. Welcome. I don't think I've seen a band use a piece of equipment that is advertised in national magazines for the consumer market, and you have a great interest in electronics, and this is this Casio thing here, right?
That's right. It's one of the Casios. They have a few models. They have one that's even smaller than this, but this is about the smallest I can get away with.
Now, but then you do plug it into the amplifiers and power it up so the sound becomes deafening, right? I mean,
big speakers. Big speakers. Oh.
When the Cars made their first album in 1977 or early 78, first two albums got great reviews and great acclaim from the industry. Then all of a sudden, after all the people who write about music had built you up to the top, they started tearing away at you a little bit and started criticizing you. Why does that sort of thing happen, and does it shake your confidence when you get bad reviews sometimes or bad write-ups after you've been really praised by the people who write about music?
Well, I don't think it shakes our confidence too much, but I think I think maybe they didn't like that record as well, but you know, we just have to go on and make new ones. But you know, it doesn't bother us too much, I don't think, you know, the bad criticism.
But there is a tendency, isn't there, I guess, in all quarters of entertainment, to build people up, and then once you get them built up, let's take a shot at them now and bring them back down to earth.
It's easier to make a name for yourself if you pick on a band that's bigger.
The Cars, the name The Cars, and I'm sure you're asked this a lot, why did you pick that particular name?
Actually, David thought of the name, but there was really no story behind it. He's just one of those people who keeps a list of names for bands in his head somewhere. And it just seemed like a real good name.
Hey,
once we lived with it for a while, you know, we really started thinking, oh yeah, you can get...
Easy to spell, easy to remember.
Exactly. It's 4 letters, very simple, starts with C, ends with S, yeah. Could have been the Cats, could have been anything, but it turned out to be the Cars. This band was organized, if I read the material correctly, to stimulate rock and pop music, to make it more exciting. What, in your view, needed to be done, and how was it bland, if in fact you felt that way when the Cars were being formed?
Well, seen in '78, just radio was very bland. It was very much totally top 40 oriented, much more so than now, even though there is sort of a trend to go back to a tight playlist. But I think that our backgrounds, we didn't come from a top 40 background. Most of the kinds of bands that we were in were more underground sort of bands, and I just think that we felt like that something had to happen, you know. And I don't know how it happened to us, but basically we just played the way we felt and played our own material.
Wasn't the Rolling Stones, you talked about yourself as feeling that you were an outcast? Was that the word you used, or
yeah?
Why?
I used that. I mean,
what made you feel that you were an outcast?
You mean personally?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I felt like that particularly. You know, not like an outcast, but I don't know. I don't know exactly. Well,
there was a quote attributed to you, or said that you had.
Well, maybe because I was tall and thin, and it always worked against me when I was a, you know, sort of kid. But then when, you know, I got into rock and roll, maybe it just worked to my advantage.
Now, you have an interest in things electronic, huh?
Yeah, I do.
And you also are a sci-fi, science fiction, or science fact addict.
Well, more science fiction. I'm a science fiction film fan.
Do you really have like the little robots and stuff in your house, the little Japanese things?
I have a lot of wind-up Japanese toy robots. I'm just a toy collector and a robot fanatic.
There was a commercial done for those. Are these little R2-D2 type dolls that...
all those.
Yeah, they march, right?
Yeah, they march.
There was a commercial done on Japanese television for these things one time where they had like 1,000 of them, and they all started on cue. And to this day, I cannot figure out how they got all these wind-up machines to start on one cue and stop on one cue, unless they used trick photography. But it was a marvelous commercial, which is neither here nor there.
Right.
I don't even know why I bring it up. Running through your music... and running through your albums, there are pretty girls, and you brought back a very famous Esquire cartoonist, Vargas, I believe is the man's name, and I think we have the album cover. This was done some years ago. Tell the story behind this here, picking the Vargas girl as the cover of your album. First of all, it probably attracts a lot of sales, point of sale.
Exactly. Well, David, our drummer, is a collector of pinup art, and he has quite an exhibition in his house. In fact, it's
he doesn't.
wonderful to go over and look at that.
He doesn't have a problem, though. We know.
No. In fact, it's just a good problem. But he is the one who, in fact, thought of going to Vargas, and in fact found him in Los Angeles, and he had been in retirement for about 10 years, and asked him if he would, in fact, you know, do an album cover. And I think he was just very happy to do it. And he said, "Sure, I'll do an album cover." And he came out of 10 years of retirement to do it, and he did it.
May I say that this band, the Cars, spent a lot of their own money to come down here tonight from Boston, and I appreciate that. They don't have a tour starting until February, and that timing is not really in sync with our timing, and so we wanted to get them on the air, and they wanted to be here.
Right.
And it would be a shame to come down here in March and have it empty, you know what I mean? It's unbelievable. So I thank you for that. I appreciate your coming tonight, and I hope you had as good a time with us as we had having you here tonight, okay? Please thank all the fellas. Good luck to you, gentlemen. Okay, we will continue with the Mad Hatter of New York right after these announcements.